And we should be live on the Google Hangout on Air. I think I have finally cracked the code with a little bit of Tom Merritt's help, actually. With any luck, you guys got an invite, and then it actually went live on time. Tom explained that the way you do it is you start the Google Hangout on Air, you give it a name, and that lets you schedule it, which creates an event. What I was trying to do before was create an event. I thought I should create an event first, and then embed the Google Hangout inside, but it turns out if you start with the event, you can't put a Hangout on Air inside the event. You can only put a regular Google Hangout inside the event. So you got to start with the Hangout on Air, then that creates the event if you schedule it. If you say, now I don't know what happens. So anyway, it looks like we are live. I need to tell everybody that Barry Porter sent in his regrets. His sister is visiting from California, and so he would like to visit with her. I don't know why somebody would rather be with a relative, but go figure. Anyway, he gave his written excuse, so anyway, he wanted to make sure the NosillaCastaways knew he would not be here tonight. So it is time for roll call. We've got Donald and Steve and Brett and Kevin and Jamal and DB Moore. David, how are you doing? And Jenna and Jeff Bishop, who Jeff, you don't come in here too often. Nice to see you. And Dorothy and Peter78, who I believe is new, unless Peter78 is a Peter we already know. I don't know. And winding up the bottom of the alphabet, we've got Switcher Mark. Lovely to hear you all, see you all here today. What did I want to ask? There's something I wanted to ask. I forget what it was. But yeah, you guys are seeing. Oh, Peter's a friend of Kevin's. Hey, welcome aboard, Peter. The NosillaCastaways officially welcome you. Getting video and audio there. All right. Well, any friend of Kevin's is a friend of the show's. Oh, you're using the website chat. Kind of funky with the screen reader, but it sort of works. Okay, well, that's good to know, Jeff. Yeah, that's a newly enhanced version. A good way to do the chat is with the app. And by the way, there is a new version of the app coming. Donald gave us a little video that shows how the screens are going to look. It's all iOS 8ified and everything's all pretty. He's going into beta pretty soon. Oh, Ghibli's is here. Ghibli's got in. You were there in the alphabet when I came in. And Kiwi Spoon is new, too. Hi, Lindsay. How are you? How exciting, Ghibli's, of you to come. That is my daughter, Lindsay, my wonderful daughter. Let's see. Yeah, and Kiwi Spoon. Have we met Kiwi Spoon before? A Kiwi currently in Oz. Nice to meet you. Very exciting. Steve, make sure you write down Kiwi Spoon. We like to keep track of everybody who's coming. Yep. All right. Let's go ahead. Oh, let me do a test recording. I think we're okay. I tested it on Alpha Geek Radio, but I think we're okay. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast. Let's hear how that goes. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast. Can I get a confirmation? Did we make that through? It looks like that worked. Steve, did that get through? Everybody hear it? All right, here we go. Got to do my save as. I always forget to do that. I need to have the script. Dorothy, my little script needs to do a save as at the end. Let's stick the date in there. Okay, Steve says to do it again. Let's see. We're at NC 2014 10:05. All right, let's see. Sounds good here, Podfeet. Kevin heard it. Okay. All right, I think we're okay, Steve. All right. Oh, Johnny Quinlan snuck in here. Oh, yeah. Hey, that's good because there's a recording coming up from Johnny in just a second here. Here we go. All right, let's go ahead and start. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Macintosh bias. Today is Sunday, October 5th, 2014, and this is show number 491. Well, I am really excited about Chit Chat Across the Pond this week. We have Renee Ritchie from iMore. He was positively delightful. Every single minute, he's informative, he's smart, he's funny. Love talking to him. I hope we get him back on the show again. But that's just a teaser for Chit Chat Across the Pond, so let's get started here. I did want to take a quick minute to thank everyone who uses my Amazon affiliate link to buy their toys. I get a report every month that's about 3 months in arrears that tells me how much money you guys are spending by going through podfeet.com to get to Amazon. Would you believe you guys are spending around $2,000 a month? That's crazy, and I love it. Now, I don't get $2,000 a month. Obviously, I get a tiny percentage of that. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you use the little Amazon search window over at podfeet.com on the left sidebar, anything you buy after that search sends a small percentage to help the show. I also, whenever I talk about something that's on Amazon, I embed an image of it. If you buy it through that link, that also gives credit to the show. And I got to tell you, it really adds up. A pack of paper towels at a time, I get a little percentage there. Someone told me that they made a bookmark called Amazon, but it's actually to podfeet.com, so they remember to use the affiliate link. So you could consider that as well. Anyway, I just want to thank you guys for remembering the show and helping in a way that doesn't cost you a dime. Well, we've got a little listener comment here. Let's go ahead and plug this right in. All right. This is Jonathan. Here we go. Let's see. All right, we are going to put Jonathan in here. Jonathan has the best voice, and I told him he could record the phone book and I'd play it. He did better than that, obviously. This is the most succinct review I think I've ever read or heard. I'm going to go up. I shouldn't try to talk and work at the same time. Here we go. A little listener comment here. Let's go ahead and plug this right in.
Hello, Alison and NosillaCastaways. I'm Jonathan Quinlan with a review of guided access in the accessibility menu on iOS. Starting with a problem to be solved. When I'm travelling in the car with younger family members, they always bug me to play games on my iPad, which is fine as it keeps them quiet whilst I'm driving. However, I have a large amount of my A-level IT and programming coursework on my iPad, which I'm constantly worried about accidentally being deleted by younger family members. Also, I don't mind them playing games for an hour and using some of my battery, however I don't want it to be completely dead when I may need to use it. So I recently came across guided access in accessibility, which until last week I didn't even know existed. This solves my problem, as you can lock the iPad into one application or game, which can't be closed without entering a password, as well as the fact that I can set a time limit which prevents my iPad from being completely drained. This solves my problem, and I hope that it helps someone else who hasn't noticed it's there yet.
How's that for a quick review? That is just like, get her done. No fooling around. No wasting time. I love that. You need more testers? More teeters? More tweeters? All right.
That's my problem, and I hope that it helps someone else who hasn't noticed it's there yet.
Well, this is really cool, Jonathan. I never would have thought of using guided access for this reason. Yeah, I knew it was there, but I pictured it only for like professional displays or something like museum tours where you don't want people to go outside of a certain set of menus. I never thought of it to manage children and battery life. I threw a couple of links in, a couple of screenshots into the show notes so people can see where this is and some of the options you can set. I have to say, this is the most succinct review I think we have ever had. We've talked before about the importance of using a password manager, in this age of constantly hacked services. There's no perfect solution yet, but we've been able to prove time and time again that letting a human pick passwords is pretty much the most flawed approach you can take. We can't remember passwords, and we can't even invent random ones, so we fail basically from every direction. We cannot be trusted. If you use a password manager, you can choose to have it create random passwords your brain would never think of and which you can never type. We've also talked about using Bart's awesome XKPassWD tool to generate random and yet typable passwords. Now, I'm betting that many of you are in the camp of, yeah, I know I should use a password manager. I'm really going to get around to that soon. Sort of like, remember in the old days when we all knew we should be doing backups, but it was just so hard, we didn't start doing them until it got as easy as plugging in a backup drive and Time Machine saying, hey, want a backup? Now, we really are at the point where there's no really good excuse to not use a password manager like LastPass or 1Password. Now, you may recall that I've been a LastPass user for a few years, but I've been frustrated because they've never been able to permanently fix the problem I have, that it stops logging me out when I'm idle, when I stop using LastPass. And it turns out that was enough to push me to try 1Password. Now that I've used both for a while, I'd like to walk you through each one and give you some pros and cons that maybe would help you make your own decision. And remember, they are both great services and you will not go wrong either way. The only way you can go wrong is if you don't use a password manager, seriously. Now, I remember when Dorothy was trying to decide, and she made this big pro-con chart for herself of the two services, and in the end, she said she flipped a coin because they were both equally good. So they are both really good. And I don't want to necessarily sway you, but I want to tell you how I made the decision. In her case, she ended up choosing 1Password, and so did Bart. So you might not want to listen to the rest of what I say and just go get 1Password, but you might want to also listen. I want to tell you up front, 1Password is available from agilebits.com, and LastPass is available from lastpass.com. So let's dig into each of them pros and cons. I'm going to start with LastPass. The first thing to realize about LastPass is that it's free for web access. So you go to the lastpass.com website, you log in, and there's all your passwords. So you can get that right away, and it's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you a dime. Now, if you want to spend a little bit of money, they have mobile apps which are cross-platform for premium subscribers, and that's only going to cost you $12 a year, so it's still really inexpensive. And they have clients for iOS, Android, Windows Phone, and even BlackBerry. Now, with the web access, you can also use the, what do they call them, extensions for your browsers, so you don't have to log into the website each time, but you log into this little extension. That's the piece that I have trouble with, but it works for most people. The other thing to know about LastPass that really is a feather in their cap is it was vetted by Steve Gibson, the guy who runs grc.com. He's a noted security expert, and he was able to look at the source code and confirmed that they cannot possibly unlock your vault. So even though they store it on their servers, they can't unlock it. One of the things I really liked about LastPass was you can share passwords with a trusted person, and they get updates when you change them if you set it up correctly. So Steve and I, for example, will make sure that we have access to each other's bank accounts. We give each other the password in a way that if I change it on my end, it actually changes it on his end, so it propagates through the two vaults. And that works really well for us. They also have a new feature, I don't think I've even tested this yet, called the Family Share folder. So you create a folder for the family to share, and then everybody's vault gets to see what's ever in that family share. So that's kind of a cool way of doing it. I already mentioned that you use browser extensions for all the major browsers, and again, at that point, you're still free if you do it that way. Now, on the computer, you only do get the website and browser extensions. You don't get any kind of menu bar app. You don't have a standalone application, so you can only access it through a web browser. They have a fabulous service where you can audit your passwords. Now, I highly recommend doing it, but I highly recommend you not kill yourself when you realize how bad you are at doing your passwords. So it's a great service to go through, but it's kind of depressing because then you realize how much you really needed this. Now, LastPass was very helpful during Heartbleed. It told you which sites you need to go update your password on and which ones where you should probably just wait because they haven't patched it yet anyway. Now, their password manager, they store it encrypted locally and on the LastPass services. The LastPass servers. So storing your very, very most private passwords on someone else's server is a little bit scary. You need to decide, is that a good or a bad thing if they're storing it for you? Now, back to what I had trouble with, my biggest problem was in the extension, you can set it to how long to wait till it logs you out. So I set mine to 15 minutes because I'm on a laptop, for crying out loud. I don't want to go on travel and be logged into all of my passwords. That would be really dumb. That would defeat the purpose of all this, right? Well, mine stopped logging me out, and I don't know why. They couldn't figure it out. We did a bunch of stuff. It fixed it for a couple weeks. It came back. They fixed it again for a couple weeks. It came back. I wasn't really happy either with their customer service. The lag was maybe 2 or 3 days every time they got back to me, and that's a long time when I am a premium subscriber. I mean, I know I'm only paying $12 a year, but I am paying for this service. So that was kind of a problem for me, and that really was what I had to go away from it. I did like the service, and I love working on it with Steve, but I got to be secure. That's the whole point. The interface on LastPass is acceptable, but it's not super pretty. I mean, it's functional, but a little bit open source feely for me. It's not as pretty as what you're going to find over in 1Password. Now, it feels to me like it's more steps to enter a password than on 1Password. I don't know that it is, because I tried finding a place where I could prove it, but I couldn't prove it. Every place I went to, it was either the same or even faster with LastPass, but I don't know. It just feels smoother with 1Password to me. And let's see, like I said, it was, as I already mentioned, customer service was slow. Oh, here's another thing. LastPass works with Touch ID on the iPhone 5S and 6, but only in Safari. So inside Safari, you can tap on the little share sheet button, which is a square with the arrow up out of it, like if you want to share to an email or a text message. From within there, you can say, I want to talk to LastPass. You can use your Touch ID, and it'll connect in, and it'll find the right password, and it'll plug it in for you. But you can't open the mobile app itself with just your Touch ID. So let's say you've got an app for your bank, for example. You can't use your thumb to get into LastPass and get that password and then paste it into that app. And if your bank hasn't written the extension to allow LastPass to talk to it yet, then you can't do it at all. So you're going to have to type that long, complicated password still, even though you've got Touch ID enabled. Now, I thought maybe I was wrong, but I actually found a blog post by the LastPass people that says, yeah, it doesn't do that. So you can't open your vault and look at your passwords and everything with your thumbprint. So keep that in mind. Now, let's flip over to 1Password and see how 1Password from AgileBits works. First of all, it's a lot more expensive. A single user, single platform license costs $50. It's a lot of money. If you go cross-platform, Windows and Mac, you can get a single user for $70. And the family pack is actually a really good deal. 5 family members, I think this is just Windows or Mac, one or the other, is $70. So that's actually the deal I went with. Now, you might like a one-time purchase better than a monthly fee. I'm a big fan of I want to buy what I own, and I don't want to have all these monthly fees because everything's a monthly fee now, and it's really getting on my nerves. But 1Password has traditionally charged upgrade fees for major point releases, so no matter how you do the math, it's definitely going to be more expensive than the $12 a year for LastPass, unless you choose not to upgrade to the newer versions, which kind of misses out on some really good functionality, because they do build lots of really cool things into each major point release. I gotta stop and take a breath or a drink. I miss a lot. Michael King is here. Michael, that's been a long time. Nice to see you. Let's see, Stephen talking to me here. Ah, yes. Active room tonight. Yeah. Well, Brett, we'll wait and see whether you think there's a reason to pick one over the other. Let's see. Okay, where did I end up? Definitely more expensive, right? Okay. Let's see. Now, I should say that those upgrades are pretty affordable. Mine was only $20 to go from a single user to a family pack along with an upgrade. So they do have good prices on that. But you got to realize you're paying for a really nice tool here. You got to decide whether it's worth it to you. Now, their new thing they've done with iOS 8 is their iOS 8 app is free, and with that you get logins, credit cards, identities, and secure notes. For $10 for the premium option on that same application, you can also get access to things like your software license keys, information about your wireless routers that you stored, and you can organize within the the 1Password tool. You can organize with folders and tags, access multiple vaults, view attachments, and create custom fields. So it's kind of nice because you get the most important thing, which is the logins, for free. So that's kind of a nice little bonus thing. Now, iOS is available, or I'm sorry, the 1Password is available for iOS and Android mobile apps for mobile phones, but let's see, there's no Windows Phone app, unfortunately. 1Password comes as a standalone application on your Mac or PC. On your Mac, it's also a menu bar app, and they have the same kind of browser extensions as you do over on LastPass. It's nice to have all 3 ways of accessing and organizing the content. I really find that all 3 have their own place. Now, 1Password wins in being very, very pretty. Now, pretty isn't always the most important thing, but it is important if it increases usability. For example, for application serial numbers, it searches for the icon for the app. So if you're searching for an app, you know how sometimes the icon is what jumps out at you? That's what makes you realize that, okay, that's my GarageBand icon or whatever. It really does help you find things in the list of applications easier because it goes out to your desktop, finds the icon file, the ICNS file, and actually imports it into 1Password so you can see it. Really, really helps. They do the same thing with credit cards. So if you put in a Visa, for example, it'll put in the Visa logo. So you can actually, I think it helps a little bit in finding them. I know in a lot of tools I'm sitting there going, oh man, is that my Visa or my MasterCard? I can't remember, but it'll actually show it to you in 1Password. They also do some little animations that just make me happy. It's not important and it doesn't make it more useful, but maybe that's one of the things that makes me think it's going faster than it actually is. Here's a really, really important thing. It works with Touch ID beautifully, both in Safari and to open your Vault. Now, this is critical. Like I said, when you need to log into an app, like your banking app, you go to your banking app, you flip over to 1Password, you put your, no, it is 1Password, yes, got to keep these straight. You flip over to 1Password, tap your thumb down, there's your password, boom, copy, double click, paste, you're done. This functionality works so well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to upgrade to the new iPad, even though I have an iPad Air. I normally don't get the new one every year. I'm probably going to do it just to get that Touch ID because it drives me nuts. And on my iPad, I'm like, I got to type in a password. That's so annoying. I mean, I've only had it for 10 minutes, and I just can't. I can't live without it. Can't live without it. Absolutely. Other thing is that AgileBits is a really good company for technical support. Now, you are paying more for the service, and you expect more, but you actually get more. They have quick response. The people are intelligent. They have good answers. I mean, they really get back to me quickly. I was a little bit worried because I know that my friend Nick works there, and he's often the one who helps me. But I have heard from other people that this is standard operating procedure with AgileBits. I've seen lots and lots and lots of people talk about how great their customer service is. So I don't think it's just because they happen to know who I am. Now, we talked over in LastPass about how they store your Vault on their servers. 1Password doesn't work that way. AgileBits does not store it. You have to choose if you want to be able to use your passwords between your Mac and your iPhone and your iPad and your Android phone. If you want all that data going back and forth, you have to put it on a server someplace, and AgileBits does not store it. You have to choose between iCloud and Dropbox to sync the vaults between devices. I've chosen Dropbox, and it works beautifully. But remember, of course, it is stored encrypted, and they still can't get to it, just like it was true on the other one. But, good or bad, you decide. Do you trust iCloud or Dropbox, or do you only trust LastPass? Which way do you want to go? So if you do trust iCloud or Dropbox, then 1Password could work for you. Now, this is another thing I didn't know about, but Dorothy told me about this afternoon. You can get access to your passwords from any computer at any time. If you do your syncing through Dropbox, you can log into your Dropbox account on the web from this strange computer. So you can go to, well, probably wouldn't do it on a strange computer, but you can go to Dropbox.com and log in, and hopefully you remember your Dropbox login. That is the one tricky bit. But from there, you can navigate to your 1Password keychain file. You can actually see it in Dropbox, and within there, there's an HTML file. If you click on that, you'll be prompted for your 1Password credentials, and now you have full access to your 1Password database. It looks a lot like the real program, so it's actually a fourth way to look at your data. I noticed in 1Password, I was curious whether they would do the security audit like LastPass did, which I was really, really happy about. Turns out they give you a bunch of different ways to look at the security of your passwords. The first one is called Watchtower, and it checks websites for vulnerabilities. So if you have a password that hasn't been updated in the length of time since some vulnerability has come, it'll tell you. I found out that IFTTT had a vulnerability since the last time I changed my password, so I was able to go over to IFTTT, change my password, and it auto-filled it back in. And what I really liked about the way 1Password did it was when I fixed it over on 1Password, it actually now just disappeared from Watchtower. So IFTTT was there. As soon as I fixed the password and saved it, went boom, and it disappeared. So it's real-time updating, which really, really worked well. You can also check for weak passwords. I found a few that weren't real anymore. They were to strange things that don't actually exist, so I was able to delete these. But I found a few where I still had a really stupid password, and I was able to go in and fix them. And like I said, again, they just disappeared immediately from the list as soon as I fixed them. So I really felt like I was making some progress instead of having to go back and refresh a big old annoying web page, which is kind of the way LastPass does it. Let's see, it can also check for duplicate passwords, and I think it's a little bit smarter. LastPass keeps yelling at me for the fact that my iTunes password and my Apple ID have the same username and password. Well, of course they do because they are the same thing, but because it's going to a different site, sort of, it thinks they're two separate passwords, and it's always yelling at me. 1Password didn't give me that annoying complaint, so that was cool. They will also check passwords by age. So they've got a bunch of different segments, like these passwords haven't been changed in the last 3 years. I went through and I was able to clean up a ton of passwords in a really short amount of time, and I really felt good about it. It was really fun. So the bottom line is what's important for you and what's important for me as we each make our own choices. 1Password for me is now the clear winner. The better technical support, better Touch ID support, nicer user interface, all of that is really worth the money for me. And of course, the primary thing is it actually logs me out when I'm idle for 15 minutes, unlike LastPass. If you use the LastPass, go check that. Make sure it's really working. If money, however, is your primary concern, LastPass is an excellent choice, as long as it logs you out properly when you're idle. If that stops working for you like it did me, I'd cut something else out of my budget so I could afford to go get 1Password. If you've been a LastPass user and my discussion has convinced you to jump ship to 1Password, there's a really useful script that you're going to need. This script takes the export of your LastPass data and it converts the data so that it'll slide nicely into your new shiny 1Password vault into the right fields. If you don't use the script, you will be missing a lot of data that you'll have to replicate or move things around. Without it, my 125 software license files did not come over properly. I should mention that this script, though, is written by a 1Password evangelist, not vetted by AgileBits. But I did have Bart take a look at the script, and he said that it does not send your passwords to China or the NSA. I put a link in the show notes to the script so you can go check it out for yourself. There. All right, Brett, what do you think? Do you think there's still no reason to look at both? Hash of your fingerprint. Alrighty. What did I miss? I don't let iTunes have any involvement with the iOS devices. Well, that's weird. That's no fun. Oh, I posted something this morning. It was really funny. I was looking at my credit card bill, and for each transaction, they have a category for what it is. So, like, if you go to Ralph's, it knows Ralph's is groceries. For iTunes, it said record store. I thought that was really, really funny. This is going to be a long show. I've got, oh dear. Yeah, I may have to cut one to next week, which would be fine. Oh, I just thought about something. I should put in a quick spot here. Hey, Kim. Oh, glad if you like it, man, you just keep with it. I know Lindsay's been really happy with LastPass as well. All right, here we go. I'm going to do a quick intermission for a public service announcement. My daughter, Lindsay, is getting married on October 18th, which is about 2 weeks from now. And so Bart is going to be running the show for that weekend. As always, he would really, really, really appreciate if you would send in audio reviews, comments, suggestions, dumb questions, whatever you can do to help him create content for that show. You can send it to me, or let's see, most people know how to get a hold of Bart, but send it to me if you don't have his address over at allison@podfeet.com. So in the next, say, week and a half, it'd be great if you could get something to him. That would be absolutely wonderful. Help him out. Help him create a great show for you. I'm going to do the show the day after the wedding. Yeah, no, I don't think so, Lindsay. I decided that maybe Bart should do it. Right, Carl B. Kirkland. Are you new here too? Wow, we got a lot of fun people. And Steve D. Wow, they're coming in right and left. Is that might be Steve Davidson? Yay. Oh, that's funny. You notice how I'm still talking to you even though the phone's ringing? That's only because of this next bit. Let me go ahead and start here. I've been given flack in the past for my belief that an engineering degree gives you an advantage in the tech space, but I'm going to say it again anyway, even if I do get hate mail about it. First of all, before you write your hate mail, I do believe it's possible to gain the tools necessary to be quite good in the field without an engineering degree, and many people do gain that ability. However, I still believe that because engineering schools pound into the students certain ways of looking at things, especially around how to do a controlled experiment, engineers get a big leg up on diagnosing problems. So why am I bringing this up again, if not just to get hate mail? Well, this week, Steve and I solved an interesting problem, and I thought it was kind of fun how we solved it. A couple of years ago, we switched from Time Warner Cable over to Verizon Fios. I had no problems with Time Warner. They just didn't offer the speeds of Fios. About 6 months ago, I noticed a problem with our connectivity. We lose internet connection whenever the phone rings. Now, this wouldn't be an issue for normal people. You probably wouldn't even notice it. But if you're on a Skype call and the phone rings, you're gone. Not exactly what a podcaster is looking for. Luckily, it never happened when I was on anyone else's show, but a few times when Bart and I have been chatting, I've lost him for a brief while, maybe 10 or 15 seconds while my internet took a coffee break. I should point out that Skype very gracefully recovers when this happens. We don't actually have to reconnect because it does it automatically. Pretty impressive, actually. I called Verizon a few months ago and they asked me to check the frequency band for our wireless phones. And sure enough, they were all at 5.8 gigahertz, which means they're likely interrupting the 5 gigahertz band of our wireless router. I did have to confess to them that I had circumvented their router and was using my Airport Extreme to provide wireless and wired DHCP across to my network. They didn't freak out, which was good, but they didn't really offer a solution other than get rid of your phones. Now, just replacing them didn't seem smart because without isolating the problem, how would I be sure that we were actually solving it? This week, Steve and I started noodling the problem. We have 2 base station units in the house, one downstairs in the kitchen, actually there's 3, one downstairs in the kitchen that talks to the downstairs phones, one upstairs right next to my wireless router in my office that controls the phone in Steve's office. In addition, the 3rd base station unit is sitting in one of the upstairs bedrooms, only servicing itself. To do our experiments, we have to make the phone ring. This introduces another problem. We can't use the home phones because they're part of the problem, right? We have to use a cell phone. But our cell phones rely on our AT&T microcell to get a good signal inside the house. That meant we had to turn off Wi-Fi on our cell phones to make the call to be sure we had a good test and hope that we could squeak a phone call out even though AT&T tries to keep us from using it in our house. Now, we also needed a reliable way to tell if the network was getting interrupted. It's hard to notice if you're just surfing the net or reading email. Even watching a video online isn't a good test because they buffer up. They might not even indicate an interruption. Well, remember last week when we talked about using screen sharing to see if the Mac Mini as it runs our Drobo to Drobo backups? It turns out if the phone rings, that screen sharing connection gets dropped, and we see a connecting message with a giant spinning wheel on screen. This also provided another piece of information. It's not just that we're getting disconnected from the internet when the phone rings. Our Wi-Fi is completely stopped for those few seconds. In fact, I wonder whether we're actually being interrupted otherwise now that I think about it. Anyway, because screen sharing is on our intranet and not externally facing, we know that we're getting disconnected from Wi-Fi locally. Very interesting. Now that we have a reliable way to measure whether the Wi-Fi has been stopped, we can start changing things. To do controlled experiments, you have to change one thing at a time and then retest, or you'll never know which of your changes fix the problem. Steve suggested that perhaps the phone base station right next to the wireless router was the problem. So our first test was to swap the base station into Steve's office, putting the satellite phone in my office. Steve rang our home line from his cell phone while I watched my screen share to the Mac Mini. And again, we were disconnected. So that eliminated the proximity of the base station to the wireless router as the root cause. Next, he suggested maybe it's the fact that we've even got the phones upstairs at all that's the problem. Or perhaps it's the phone system itself that's flawed in the way it's handling the signal. We unplugged both the upstairs base station and satellite phone and rang the house again. And again, my screen share was interrupted. So the one that was sitting by my computer and the one in his office are connected. We disconnected those. Again, my screen share is interrupted. The good news is this meant that it's not the upstairs phone system, so replacing that would have been a waste of money, which is what they told us to do. Now Steve suggested we unplug the base station and units downstairs. We both sort of groaned because the base station is mounted to the wall and it's kind of a hassle to disconnect. But then I remembered that we did have that 3rd base station in the spare bedroom. That room was pretty old, so maybe it was created before proper shielding was implemented in phones. Plus, as I told Steve, let's test that one first because I want it to be the root cause because it's kind of cruddy. Not very engineering disciplined of me to say that, but hey, sometimes emotion gets into the middle of this. But at least we still followed our scientific process, even though I knew what I wanted the answer to be. We unplugged the 3rd base unit, rang the phone, and my screen share stayed connected. Off that phone goes to Goodwill, and we won't even replace it because what self-respecting guest would need to use a landline in a bedroom anyway? The bottom line is that by doing controlled experiments, we were able to determine the root cause of a network-based problem. Had we flung around unplugging random devices, buying new devices, not paying any attention to how the cell phone was connected, or like I said, just buying new equipment, we never would have found out the root cause. Again, I do believe non-engineering trained people can learn to do this, but it's ingrained in our whole way of thinking over at Shea Sheridan. Yeah. That's nice, honey, to correct me now, even though that blog post has been up for about 4 days and you could have corrected it then. It's nice to help me right now. All right. Now I have to make a decision. What was I going to... There was something else I wanted to tell you guys. Reading the news. I did miss this, Allison. Oh, you missed being in the live show? Yeah, the live show's fun, huh? It's a party. Okay, I think I'm caught up. Oh, you're leaving us, Jamal? Bye. Nice to see you again. So I talked about Bart. There was something else I wanted to squeeze in here. So we are at 26 minutes, and Chit Chat Across the Pond is an hour. So I think I'm going to move the Facebook post to next week. That was a fun one. It's short, though, isn't it? Let's see how long it is. That's okay. I'm still going to move it. Yeah, it's long enough to be irritating. I don't think we need that. Fine. How? Oh. So let me get this and move it to the next week. What was the other thing I wanted to talk about, though? Hey, Lindsay, did you ever go back and test your backup file to look for those voicemails? Because I'm going to talk in the ad here about how... see, there we go. Sorry, I'm thinking at the same time. 7512, right? There we go. Yeah, but oh, it's so good. You guys will not be bored. He is just absolutely awesome sauce. Loved every minute of it. So yeah, I wonder if yeah, Renee. So I don't remember if I tell him on the air. I think it was before we got on the air. I just about fell over. I remember exactly where I was running. I was running down a hill or walking down a hill when he and Leo were talking on Mac Break Weekly, and Leo was talking about how when he's an old vegetable, he'll be in the old folks' home, but he'll have an Oculus Rift type device on his head, and he'll be actually lying on a beach with Angelina Jolie. And that was his vision of what his perfect utopian place to be was. And nobody even heard him say it, but Renee Ritchie just said, "I'll be sledding with Hobbs." And I just thought that was so awesome because he's so. I mean, how did he have that ready? I mean, how do you have a comment like that just ready like that? So it was crazy. Oh yeah, Lynn. So I'm gonna lie a little bit in the ad, but that's okay. Yeah, Brett. I get him talking about the Retina displays, and he actually doesn't. He sort of makes fun of the people who really say they have to have Retina displays. So let's see. Oh wait, no, it's too early. I got to do the ad first. Here we go. All right, here we go. Nope, you're on the wrong track, Allison. You're on the wrong track. Here we go. Well, my daughter Lindsay, okay, that's still the wrong track. It doesn't matter how many times you click the right track, it's still going to say, there we go. All right, here we go. There we go. All right. Stuart Chaffee. Oh, that's a big compliment, Kevin. That's great. I need to get Stuart Chaffee back on. Guy, he was fantastic. He said he wanted to come back, too. All right. When my daughter Lindsay got her new iPhone 6, somehow she lost all of her saved voicemails. Even though everything else came over, her saved voicemails did not come to her new phone. Now, there weren't anything that she couldn't live without, but she had saved a few cute ones, like the one from me when I found out she was engaged. She asked me if there was any way to get them back. Now, I knew there were some paid-for tools, like I think PhoneView will do that. They can dig into your phone and into your backups, but she's on a shoestring budget. She's bought her own home. She's working on the wedding plan, so the cost was a little too steep to recommend for her. I started digging around to look for a way to get this done for free, and I found a guy named Mike Reyes who had figured it out. He did a blog post on it, and he explained that the audio files are GSM files, but you need to yank them out and turn them into .amr files, which are adaptive multi-rate audio. His site did the whole thing in a nice terminal command, but for the unfamiliar with the terminal, it was pretty hard to follow. I mean, I was able to get it to work, but it was I was putting a whole lot of faith into it, and he didn't give a lot of explanation around it. So I whipped open Clarify, I went through steps, I slowly took screenshots along the way, adding description to explain how all of this worked and why you were supposed to do each step. I drew one arrow and added one text callout, and I was done. I hit the WordPress icon in the menu bar and Clarify, and it posted it directly to podfeed.com as one of my tutorial pages. Just like that, and I'm done, and Lindsay was able to follow my instructions pretty much without any help from me. I love that in a few minutes I can help my family and friends to do things they could have never done before, and I know the questions that come back to me will be minimized. You should hop on over to clarify-it.com and download the free trial so you too can become a hero. Check out the tutorial link in the show notes so you can see how to get your voicemails out of backup without spending a dime. And I do give credit to Mike Reyes because he's the one who actually did figure this out. All right. Can you really tell the difference? Does it really matter to you, Mark, on the Retina display? Yeah, I have a Retina display here, and it, I mean, it's nice. It's nice. Doesn't make a big difference to me, though. I gotta say, I'm not gonna lie. I am gonna try to give you guys a little bit of this so we can. All right, let's see. Now let's find chit chat. Let's drop a little chit chat in. Right there. Yeah, I don't know if it's just age. I mean, definitely as you little sucker. I hate it when Audio Hijacked or Wirecast Studio does that. Wiretap Studio. Wiretap Studio loves to change audio to 32-bit, and I didn't tell it to do 32-bit. I swear I checked that too. It needs to be 16-bit or it can't go to GarageBand. So I got to do that, and now I got to pull this out again, and we'll bring it out. So this one's got to go. Cues to Allison. Cues what? That's funny. I look at it, and like I explained to Renee in the thing, I have terrible eyes, right? I'm old and I have bad eyes to start with, but I'm wearing $1,200 worth of eyewear. I've got no, not $1,200. Well, actually, between all my glasses, it's about $1,200. But because of the 3 pairs of glasses and the contacts I wear, I can see things. I mean, I can see the wings on a butterfly 6 miles away, and so I know I can see really well with these. But it just doesn't make that big a difference to me. It's funny. All right. Allison likes to be prompted. What do I like to be prompted for? Oh, cues. Do you do all that silly color correction stuff, Mark? I had to stop using that thing that Bart convinced me to buy. I gave it away because I couldn't have a color profile for my Mac and my secondary display, so it was worthless to me because if I tried to move the photos, they wouldn't be the same. It was a big mess. What is that thing called? The spider? Do you use one of those, Mark? This out. Let's see. Give credit to Mike Reyes because he's the one who actually did figure this out. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Chit Chat Across the Pond, and I am super excited to invite to the show for the first time Renee Ritchie. He is the editor-in-chief at iMore, executive producer and podcast host of Mobile Nations. He's a cook, a grappler, and a photon wrangler, and he also represents all of Canada in the field of technology, right?
I don't know. I think Jim Dalrymple and his beard get the eastern half, and I'm sort of stuck in the middle.
I think Steve should have to pay attention the first time. What do you guys think? Play it again. It's that time of the week again. It's time for Chit Chat Across the Pond, and I am super excited to invite to the show for the first time Renee Ritchie. I actually agree. I think they're a little bit late too, Steve. I'll move that up just a little bit. Well, Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Chit Chat Across the Pond, and I am super excited to invite to the show for the first time Renee Ritchie. He is the editor-in-chief at iMore, executive producer and podcast host of Mobile Nations. He's a cook, a grappler, and a photon wrangler, and he also represents all of Canada in the field of technology, right?
I don't know. I think Jim Dalrymple and his beard get the eastern half, and I'm sort of stuck in the middle.
Oh, okay. Well, the central region then.
Yes.
That was good. Well, I've only gotten to know you recently, and really getting a lot out of the stuff you're doing at iMore. You guys have been just on a tear about the iPhone 6 and iOS 8 and all that, right?
Oh, thank you so much. And it's nice to talk to you outside of Mac break, so we don't have to talk over Leo's head the whole time.
Yeah, I can't see you. We did briefly meet at the Smile Party at Macworld a couple years ago.
Absolutely.
That's about it. So yeah, this is a little more personal here. I wanted to have you on because it seems like you know a lot of the nichier, smaller pieces of what's going on in iOS 8. You know, we all saw the great new flat experience with iOS 7, but not much change under the hood. Now we kind of have the opposite experience, right?
Yeah, so iOS 7 was all about creating a new design language, and they redid every pixel in every screen of that operating system, which was a tremendous effort. But it was mostly how you relate to the software, what it looks like, and and the interactions that it presents with you, like the physics engine and the particle engine and all the underpinnings they put into that. But iOS 8 is all about the functionality. It's how you do the things that you do, and that makes it really interesting.
I think there's good and bad to that. In iOS 8, it doesn't look very different, so if you're not paying attention, you're not going to find out about these new things you can do, right?
Yeah, and that's this very strange dichotomy because a lot of people believe that a visual makeover, like a paint job, so to speak, is superficial. They don't want to pay for a new app just because it gets a new design, for example. Right. But at the same time, when you get deep changes to an operating system or an app, people can't see anything, so they don't think that has value either.
So they need to paint it and underpinning at the same time to get our attention, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I had a couple of things, but I think you probably know about a lot more things than I know about. I've read about things and I heard about things ahead of time, and I don't actually necessarily know how to make them all go. So widgets.
Okay.
What are widgets? What do they mean to me? How do I get to them? I need some. I'm sure of it.
Everybody needs a few widgets. So there's a larger story going on with the widgets, which is called extensibility. And what Apple's done is over the last few years, they've created these technologies. One was XPC, their cross communications protocol, and they brought that over from the Mac to iOS. I think that was in iOS 6. And then they split the windowing system for the iPhone was always Springboard. That's the home screen system. And they split that into Springboard to do all the foreground tasks and Backboard to do all the background tasks. And now they have this daemon that runs as well. And that means that you can do things like widgets and like interactive notifications and like sharing extensions in a very secure and private way. And widgets is a great example of that. You now have the notification center the same way you always had it in iOS 7 going back to iOS 5. You pull it down, and previously Apple showed you things like today, like your calendar, like your stocks, like the weather, like traffic.
That's all I have now. So that's why I don't get yet.
So now if you can download apps from the App Store the same as always, but developers have the opportunity or the option of making widgets. And what widgets is basically a remote view. It's a way of taking their interface and their functionality and separating it from the app so that it can be shown in other parts of the system or in other apps. Oh. So for widgets, it lets part of the app be shown, a part of the interface and part of the functionality be shown inside the Today view section of Notification Center. And because the operating system is the one doing it, the apps never actually talk to each other. They ask something from the system goes and fetches it. It's all very private. It's all very secure. And the other advantage is, and I'm using Facebook as an example because they deserve it, if you have a Facebook widget and you're busy using it and the actual Facebook app is being a memory hog in the background and the Jetson process kills it, your interaction in the widget or in the notification doesn't go away because it's being run separately and independently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh,
that's kind of interesting. So how are we supposed to know if there's going to be a widget available? Is that just the surprise?
It's the prize at the bottom of the Cracker Jack box, essentially. If you go to the Notification Center and you go to the Today view, at the very bottom now there's a button called Edit, and when you tap on that button, you get taken to a management screen. All the settings that used to be in the Settings app are now in that management screen, and you'll see all the widgets that are currently active, and you'll see the ones that aren't, and those are usually the app ones you've downloaded, like Dropbox or pCalc or any of a dozen other little widgets that can live in there.
I don't have an edit button. I'm looking at the Today view. I've got my calendar. It says it's sunny and boiling outside at 90 degrees. It gives me my calendar, shows me some stocks I don't care about. It says tomorrow, and then some stuff in gray text.
Yeah, so the things at the bottom, you should see a gray sort of edit button just at the...
Yeah, I should. Renee and I are showing each other our phones on video here. I don't have an edit button. Could that be because
appalling.
I don't have any?
It could be that you haven't downloaded any apps that have them, but there's a lot of apps that do have widgets now.
And you said Dropbox was one of them, right?
Yes.
Let me verify if I've got Dropbox down. We actually solved that mystery. In fact, I got to remember to say that at the end that my edit button came back. Dorothy and Jenna to give me the all clear. Dorothy's not. If you're waiting for Dorothy, man, you're gonna be the last guy in your block to get iOS 8. I like Lindsay did it before I did it. She was like, "Yeah, I'm doing it." She's a crazy person. It's awesome. All right, here we go.
Thank you so much.
Man, I had such a good time with Renee. I don't know if he had fun, but I had such a great time. He's coming back whether he likes it or not. So after I got off with Renee, and by the way, I showed Renee my iPhone in the camera, so he was my witness that I did not have that edit button on the widget screen. I went to show it to Steve, and the edit button showed up. So luckily, I was able to let Renee know that he did not have that action item to go check and see why I didn't have the edit button. It was very, very weird. But anyway, man, I just had a blast. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. Now, don't forget to send in your reviews to Bart because he's doing the show on the 19th, so you got to get to him like 3 or 4 days. If you're going to do something, let him know and come through for Bart because he's going to really need some help making up the show. But that's going to wind us up for this week. Many thanks to our sponsor for helping to pay the bills, Blue Mango Learning at BlueMangoLearning.com, makers of Clarify. Don't forget to send in your dumb questions. You can send Bart dumb questions, too. Comments and suggestions can come this way, too. Email me at allison@podfeet.com. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and app.net over at Podfeet. Go check out that Google Plus community, the NosillaCast Google Plus community at podfeet.com/Google Plus. Again, having a blast over there. I've been posting stuff. George from Tulsa is always in there. We got people showing off photography, asking questions. We're having a great time. If you'd like to have fun and come to the live show, I want you to do it just like Peter78 did. Let's see, Carl B. Kirkland did. Ghibli's was back. We had, let's see, there was somebody else who came back for the first time. Shoot, they've snuck out, and I don't see them on the list here. But anyway, you should join the friendly and I'm going to get this right yet. Join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways by coming to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Thanks for listening, and stay subscribed. Shoot, did I get your name in there, Peter? Did I say Peter? Because was that who I was trying to make sure I remembered. Let's see. Again, having a blast over there. I've been posting stuff. George from Tulsa asking questions. We're having a great time. If you need to do it just like Peter78. Okay, then I'm doing it again. No, I did say Peter. There I said Peter78. I want you to do it just like Peter78 did. Let's see, Carl B. Kirkland did. Ghibli's was back. We had Kiwi Spoon is who I missed. I'm going to do it again. I want you to do it. If you'd like to have fun. Okay, we're going to start over. I'm going to cut that. I wanted to remember Kiwi Spoon. There we go. If you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time, just like Peter B. and Kiwi Spoon did, and Ghibli's was back, and we had Carl B. Kirkland, who hasn't been in there before. We had a blast in the live show, so you need to come on over and join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways at 5 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday nights over at podfeet.com/live. Thanks for listening, and stay subscribed. That was it. So Steve, Marianne is yelling at me over in chat. What is it? In iMessage. She really does need some help. She says that her phone has been restoring from iCloud for 2 days now. She can't do it from her Mac because her Mac is in New Zealand. So that sounds like something wrong, doesn't it? Cover up your ears, Kevin, real quick here. Intro, outro. Okay, you're safe. Put your ears back on. Sometimes I hit the play button and it hurts Kevin's ears and they fall off and it's a terrible thing. Stay subscribed. Okay. There's our beginning, and let's go drop it at ears off, Kevin. And we'll go about right there. Ears back on. You're safe. Select all, deselect this, drag this over here. I'm going to guess it's right about there. This is show number 491. I am real. Oh, man, I didn't pause at all. I just ran right into it. This is show number 491. I am really excited. There we go. All right. Here we go. Now we're going to join all these segments here. I know you're not getting to see me, but this is actually more interesting, and I join those because sometimes when I make cuts, I have this weird ghosting, so I always do that. But that's the end of that annoying thing, so I'm going to stop screen sharing, and you get to see my lovely face again. That was kind of fun. I was actually sneaking over and playing on Yosemite on another Mac over here when you guys weren't looking. I decided to try upgrading the Mac that runs the live chat room when I use Wirecast Studio, but I thought I was doing a clean install, but I think it kept all my old crap too. Didn't mean to do that, but what are you gonna do? This has been fun to have everybody here. I'm glad you came back there, Michael. It's been a long time. I don't think we've chatted in ages. So yeah, that's a pretty long show. That is an hour and a half, but oh, you will not be bored listening to Renee. Oh, what was that? That was flap, flap, flap of the dog ears. Did you hear us that? We had a pair of marks. Kiwi Spoon. Kiwi Spoon, did you ever tell us what your real name is? Have we gotten to that level of knowledge yet? Yeah, let's see. That is hour 30. Yep, her ears came on there. Steve's coming to check on that.
She's got to be on. She loves to be on.
Oh, geez. Nobody wants to see the dog, Steve. Okay, this is not my fault. I am not the one making you watch our adorable dog. But
50 pounds.
Ow, 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 ow. Those toenails are sharp. Oh, such a sweet dog. Oh, those are really sharp, Steve. That's
so
nice.
Comfortable. She wants to be on the mic.
Oh, my God.
Speak.
Bark. Okay, that's nice. It's not my fault. I did not cause that. Steve did that. You'll be here more. Good. Good, Michael. That's fun. All right. It is time for me. Oh, 5:56. We're about ready. We're going to do a share export song to disk. Export. We're done. The show is complete. Calling it now. I am so glad you guys came. This was really fun. I'm going to say goodbye to Alpha Geek Radio, by the way. Alpha Geek Radio. Hope you guys had a good time out there. I wonder if Steve remembered to check and see how many Alpha Geek Radio listeners we had. I bet he forgot. But anyway, goodbye, Alpha Geek Radio. Here we go. And for those of you guys on the app, in case you missed it at the very beginning, Donald Burr is preparing a beta for iOS 8. And I hope you guys will, let's see, Donald, send me a text or a message in the IRC chat right now what email address they should write to get involved in the beta if they are not already. I think that would be cool. I think people would like that. So let's see. I'm waiting for Donald, for the stream to catch up, for Donald to know what email address people should send to you to say, I want to be in the beta. It's going to be beautiful. He says it's a little bit buggy right now. Oh, DB Moore's having fun here. All right. Oh, don't encourage Steve with a dog, I'm telling you. I do like my dog, but maybe Donald has snuck out again. It's hard to tell when he's here. Doesn't look like he's here, but send an email to me if you don't know Donald's information, and I'll make sure it gets to him. I am going to cut off the app people right now, and we'll, oh, Buzzy's doing good, Kevin. She's here. She's around here somewhere. All right, I'm going to cut off the app now. Goodbye. Goodbye. All right, so the app is gone, and we have what's finally we have the people who are on the broadcast on the video. So I'm going to say goodbye to the Google Hangout on Air. Bye. Wait, now what? Oh, good Lord! Now he's going to get the cat. Sorry, this is not my fault. Not my fault. But there's Buzzy. She's 18. She's looking a little raggedy, kind of bald on the eyeball.
She's calm.
She's calm. She's calm. It's a vegetable is what she looks like.
Go put her back so she doesn't wake up.
No. She's fine. All right, we'll see you guys. Sorry about that. That's Steve's fault, not my fault. Goodbye.